kind of fixtures. So you can hear from that this has an exhaust leak, so it's either there's a crack in the manifold or you have a gasket leak. Alright, so most of the stuff has been taken out of the way. I got to this, the exhaust gasket, not the exhaust gasket, but the heating flange here is taken off. I got this shroud here that was taken out. There's a 10 on this side, and there's a 10 for this coolant bottle needs to come out so I get better access to my tensioner and better access to my alternator. I'm going to pull this out real quick. It has a little thing that it slides into, so it'll slide right out, and then I'll disconnect the hose from the radiator and be simple quick. Alright, now with that out of the way, I got a little better access. It's a 14 on the tensioner that pulls the tensioner, and this bolt for the alternator has already been taken out. And so I'm going to take the tensioner off, and then I'm going to go after the bolt here underneath for the alternator. So here's my tensioning tool, and I'm going to slide my belt on. So 14. And the bottom bolt for my alternator here is a 14. I'm going to, once I get on there with my ratchet, it'll come right out. This is now that the long bolt's out. I got this ground I gotta take off, and there's a couple brackets that need to come off also on the alternator. So once you get those, I'm gonna disconnect my battery. There are some security features and stuff like that, so you gotta need to be mindful of those. So always be sure you check your owner's manual. I've disconnected the battery. I wrap this cable just for safety, just in case something comes on. But you just want to make sure that there's no security features that you're gonna wipe out if you disconnect the battery. So I'm pulling my alternator off here, got it out of the way here in a second, and then we're going to get better access to our last exhaust manifold bolt. You can see I had to heat these up a little bit. They were super tight because it's steel and stainless steel for the nuts, so they're a little bit of electrolysis. I got the bolts down here. I think they were 16s, if I remember right. They were 16s, and so we got those loose, and there's 3 of them. Down here, way down yonder, right through this bracket here of this AC line, there's a 14 in order for this bracket to come loose so that I can get this manifold out. So it's just a 14 bolt goes through. You can see it from the bottom. So now with the manifold out, I'm going to blast these off here. These pins, they're bad. They all break off except for one, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and try to fix it by putting and tack them into place. So here you can see the crack. It's up here at the top of the catalytic converter area. So I'm going to put a smoke machine on it here in a second. We're going to add some smoke. Here it is. Smoke's coming out of the crack. That's where the leak is, and that's where exhaust sound is coming from. So we're going to put it on the ground. I'm going to try welding it up, take my oxygen sensor or my air fuel ratio sensor out. I'm going to mark with paint here an inch or so past each crack, so I know that I went way past it, so I don't have to second guess myself while I'm welding. And here we are. I'm sitting here welding the crack. Sorry for the bad angle. They don't get to see actual penetration, but I was having a little bit of troubles with the right heat penetration and the speed, because I was having problems with making holes just right here in the beginning. Once I got it, then I was able to go ahead from it, and we got it welded up. So I'm going to smoke it here in a little bit, and I'll show you what happened. So I'm starting to smoke it, but as you can see I got smoke coming out right there. That's because I forgot to put my air fuel ratio sensor back in. So I'm going to grab that, screw it back into place, and we're going to smoke it. And then it's going to show that this is airtight. So I fixed the problem. It's not going to have any more exhaust leaks. So the next thing that we're going to move on to is that I'm going to have to put, I got some little 8x1 bolts that I put in to where they broke off, and we'll tack those on there. Then I got some nuts for my heat shield, so that's going to fix the heat shield issue that happened. So these little 8x1 screws that I was telling you about that I just tacked into place here. I have like 2 of them that I tacked into place, or 3 of them, and then you get everything back together, and it seems to work well. So here I'm just tacking it back up. The air fuel ratio is pulled back out because you don't want to mess one of those up. So this is my new gasket. I got it into place. The surface area is cleaned off, so I'm going to go ahead and put it down here. My bracket at the bottom needs to be lined up a little bit, so you might have to loosen the 12mm bolt that holds the bracket onto the manifold. So I got my 14 bolts here for the exhaust manifold. I'm going to bolt these onto the engine, and I think it was like 20 foot-pounds was the torque that I used. And here I'm just using my speed ratchet to get everything back into place. You know, they're okay to use, just don't use them to torque things down, because there's something that was lesser, like a valve cover or something like that, you could break stuff. So this, I'm just cinching, I'm not tightening, if anyone's worried about that. So here I am, like I said before, I'm working on the torque for the manifold itself, like foot-pounds. So here I'm back down at the bottom, and I'm working on my bolt for that holds the manifold to the bottom of the engine block here. So you gotta kind of do it by braille a little bit. Just put your hand up in here and feel around, and then you should be able to get in place. Like I have the bracket still loose on the manifold. You can see the manifold bolt right there, that one that's coming through to this side. That's what bolt that holds the bracket. So it's loose, so it's able to move back and forth as it holds it. So now with the root of our problem done, we're going to have to go after the alternator, put it back into place, make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. It may be more cost effective to put the heating shield on now. I had a little bit of problems with putting the heat shield on afterwards, but I was able to get it, so it's kind of hard to say if you need to do that now or before. So in our next step, I have the bottom gasket here. This is the original one. I put some high temperature RTV on it, and I'm going to squish it down, and it usually seals itself because it's high temperature. It usually makes its own gasket when it gets hot. I was unable to find a gasket today. I wouldn't get one for a couple days, so I was going to try this, and it ends up working great. I haven't had any customer complaints yet. So that's what I did, and I tightened down the spec. As you can see, it's a lot quieter now. So thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Be sure to give me a like, give me a subscribe, and tell a friend about it.
Thanks are good.